Everyone has a story. It may not be glamorous or filled with adventure, but it's theirs. Welcome to Lifting with Larry, the podcast that features the unique stories of everyday passengers from the world of rideshare.
All right, welcome to the Lifting with Larry, What's Your Story podcast, the podcast where I sit down and talk with some of the interesting people that I've met while driving rideshare for Lyft and Uber. Today, I have the pleasure of having Lindsey on the podcast. Alex is more well known as one of the members of the band, the Josephines, from right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So I really appreciate him coming on the show. I know y'all been really busy here lately, so I know this is definitely some time that you could be doing something else. So thank you so much for coming and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Good to be here.
Real pleasure. So one thing I like to do sometimes, Alex, is I like to see if my guest remembers kind of the approximate time and date and kind of the situation around when I picked them up and see if our stories kind of mesh, because sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So it's kind of funny.
I do remember I was drunk. I was quite drunk.
That's not uncommon. That's certainly not uncommon for my passengers that I pick up, for sure.
I remember our conversation on the way there. I remember you took me to my parents' house.
That's correct.
Where I was staying at the time. And
I think it was New Year's morning. I do believe it was New Year's morning.
All right. It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it was a little bit later. I know that was probably the longest night I've ever driven this year. I think I came out about 4 on New Year's Eve afternoon, and I think I got home about 9:30 the next morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it was at least 3, 4 a.m. when you took me back.
I think it was between 3:30, 4, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But anyway, cool. So before we kind of get into more of your modern day stuff, let's talk a little bit just to kind of give your background, like where you grew up, your family, if you grew up here in Bowling Green, where you went to school, kind of that stuff. So,
I was born here. Hometown boy, man. My dad's born and raised here. My mom's from Chicago. My family's always been pretty musical, you know what I mean? My dad's a singer. My older brother, who's also in the Josephines, he played. So growing up, that was
a big influence, I'm
sure.
The
influence was there. There was always instruments laying around the house and stuff like that. So I got into it real early. And then about I was 17 when the band I was playing in got a real big tour offer. I was playing in a band called Morning Teleportation, and we got an opening slot on a Modest Mouse tour, which Modest Mouse is a fairly big band. So I was in my senior year of high school, and it was kind of like the tour was happening regardless of whether or not I could be there. So it was either like go to school or go on tour. So I dropped out and hit the road. And
not a hard choice, was it?
No, not at the time. No, not. And even looking back, I wouldn't have done anything different.
Sure, it seems like it's worked out well for you.
Yeah. So that was my introduction into the touring life. You know what I mean? But I've been playing my whole life, really.
Sure. So you did go to school. You went to school here at Greenwood?
Yes.
Correct?
Went to high school at Greenwood, and for most of it,
Yeah. So it sounds like definitely the musical gene runs in your family.
Yeah,
sure.
Surely. Yeah, it does.
So when you were growing up, when you were, say, maybe junior high age, something like that, who were the bands you were kind of listening to?
Oh man, Nirvana was a huge one for me. Coming into the whole thing, I don't know what it was, just hit at the right time, and I love that band. And I was super into Zeppelin as a kid. Got into a lot of like heavier, like post-hardcore band, Norma Jean and stuff like that when I was an angsty youth. But so that age it was some of that heavier stuff, you know what I mean? Norma Jean, but always still the Zeppelin, the Aerosmith, Nirvana, a lot of stuff like that.
So would you say those bands are who's your biggest kind of, if you had to look up and say, these are my really biggest musical influences, or is it some of those same bands, or is there some other people that maybe you didn't listen to as much growing up, but you really consider them kind of your influence on your music?
Absolutely. Like some of the bands that I didn't cite then would be like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young that's who I call my favorite band, which is a band that I've known since I was a kid, but when I was a teenager and stuff, I really didn't appreciate it as much, but then, came full circle as I became an adult. So Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, the Beatles were huge for me. My dad's a really big Beatles fan. Wilco is another band I'm really into. I guess I've just gotten softer in my old age.
Well, we all tend to mellow out, I guess, as we get older. That's not a bad thing at all. So as you were growing up, you said you kind of got the musical bug. Did you play different instruments growing up, or did you kind of pick one and kind of stick with it? Or
my folks started me on piano when I was like 4 or 5 years old. They put me in piano lessons, not knowing that I was gonna take to it, but just here's something to do. So I got into that, and then I got my first guitar when I was like 7. And then after that, I don't think I've touched a piano since. But so guitar is the one for me. That's my main instrument. And then played saxophone in school band. Ended up picking up bass just because it was an easy, transfer from guitar. A little bit of a drummer. I play a little bit of keys. But yeah, that's it. And then now since the Josephines, I literally bought a steel guitar in order to join the Josephines.
Really?
Because I was a fan of the band before I joined, and I was like, what would make this band sound more country? Steel guitar.
There you go.
So now I play lap steel and pedal steel guitar as well.
Very cool.
Added that to the repertoire. So
nice. So you mentioned that you're a musical family. How many other siblings do you have?
There's 3 of us total. So I'm the middle of 3. I've got an older brother and a younger brother.
Okay, all boys. Okay.
Yep, all boys. Thanks, Mom.
Well, I was kind of opposite. Growing up, it was me and. Well, mainly it was me and 4 sisters, and then I finally had a brother when I was 15, and then another sister when I was 17. So we were like really spread out.
Yeah, it sounds like
exactly
lots of sisters, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's foreign to me for sure.
Yeah, it's different for sure. I mean, when you're young, you hate it, and we grew up with one bathroom, so I mean,
okay, yeah.
I used the backyard, more times than not, just going out there because I'm not going to get in,
right.
Then you kind of get a little older, and they start having slumber parties. You're like, hey, this is not so bad.
I might hang out a little bit now.
That's not bad. I can deal with this.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, what age were you when you kind of got into your first band?
Man, I had a band when I was in like 6th grade. Honestly, I guess like 10, 11 years old. It was like pretty much a little Nirvana cover band. You know what I mean? Just me and a couple buddies. Really, with just messing around. Like we didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we were trying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's you think that's the hottest thing when you have your own band. I'm sure when you're that age.
Yeah. So we were just singing White Stripes covers and trying to do it.
Very
trying
cool.
to get the girls to like us. Really,
There you go. Yeah, it's not a bad way to go for sure.
Yeah.
So you had bands all growing up, and then. So tell us a little bit about, you said you were in the band, Morning Teleportation. And, I know that's a very popular band around here as well. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that and your time spent there.
So a buddy of mine, Joseph Jones, who now he's living in Nashville. He plays in a band called Spirit Week as well. But he and I had a bunch of bands together throughout high school, some kind of off-kilter mathematic rock proggy kind of stuff. We had a band called Televermin particularly, and Travis and Tiger, Travis was is the keyboard player for Morning Teleportation, and then Tiger was the lead singer and guitar player, and their rhythm section had left for some reason, so they were out a bass player and a drummer, and they started showing up at a couple of our gigs. So eventually they came up to us and they were like, yo, like, this is pretty cool. And like, we knew who they were. Anytime they walked in the room, we were like, oh man, they're here to watch us. Wow. But, so they eventually, just kind of asked us, like, it was very, informal. They were kind of just like, yeah, come jam. You know what I mean? And then, so we did a couple jams and rehearsals, and then they were just like, yeah, we're going on the road in 2 weeks and we need a rhythm section. So we kind of just filled the role and jumped in kind of spur of the moment, and then ended up touring with them for 3 or 4 years after that. So but I mean, it was great. It was a great time. We got to, like I said, we went out with Modest Mouse and Flaming Lips and some other really big bands. I got to experience some stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it was a very pivotal thing for me. It was had that not happened, I don't know that I'd be here right now. You know what I mean? As far as touring goes and doing the music thing to the capacity that I am right now. So
great.
Yeah.
So how did it kind of transition from being there? Where'd you go to next?
Well, Zach, who I mentioned earlier, my older brother, he was playing in a band called Mona at the time, and they had a drummer leave on them, and Zach called me essentially and was like, hey, you want to play drums in Mona? And at the time, Morning Teleportation wasn't touring a whole lot, so I was like, yeah, why not? So I went down there and rehearsed with them, and then they were on the road. So I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So I jumped on with them, and then I was kind of trying to do both for a period of time, but it got to the point where schedules ended up conflicting. So I kind of ended up going with Mona instead of Morning, just because, it was just kind of how things worked out. But so I toured with Mona for probably about 4 years as well. And we got to luckily tour, do some international stuff as well. We got to tour Europe and stuff like that, which was really cool. And then the Josephines had started while Zach and I were still in Mona. Zach and Brad actually started the Josephines, as well as Josh London, our bass player, and then it just kind of we just knew that that's what was supposed to happen. So
right.
so we
just a natural progression.
Yeah. So we kind of Zach and I took our leave from Mona, and we went all in on the Josephines, man, full time. Very
cool. So it sounds like you've been you've toured, like I said, all over the world.
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Where, thinking back, what do you think was probably your favorite venue that you've ever played?
Okay,
I'm sure that's tough.
It is tough. It is tough, but actually, no. It's a place called The Rave. It's in Milwaukee, and the building's got some insane history, but essentially, it's this giant structure. It's got 4 or 5 active venues in it at any given time, so you can take the elevator or the stairs and be, it's a rock and roll show.
Right, different shows, different
little
genres.
Underground, DIY punk on the bottom, and then it's bigger, and then you get to the top floor and it's some huge band, you know what I mean? But there's just so much stuff going on at once, and it's just an amazing place. But it was actually that's where Dahmer did all his stuff, because the Dahmer Hotel, as they call it, is right across the street from there. And the legend has it that they actually built what is now a venue. They built it for Hitler during the war because, he had intended to win and come over here and have a place to give his speeches and stuff. And that's what it was built for initially.
Really?
And then it was turned into a country club, and but the history is insane.
It sounds like it,
yeah. So but it's just a really cool venue. It's very,
it
very
sounds
cool.
like it. That's wild. So kind of along the same lines, if you were able to play any venue that you could, do you have one that you would pick?
I've got the Ryman has always been a bucket list one, and I've said that since I was a child, and now it's looking a little more feasible than it used to. But another bucket list for me is just SNL. I want to do SNL.
Yeah.
I grew up, watching SNL with my folks, and I was always so excited for the musical guest, even if it was something I didn't care for. But
right. Oh,
it was just to me, that's just that's just pinnacle stuff,
Definitely,
so,
yeah. SNL. I remember watching SNL, back in the early days.
Yeah.
And I don't catch it as much as I used to, but it's funny.
I don't either. But
me and my son, we can talk about the same show, and he doesn't realize, I don't think, as much that it goes back a long ways.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a newer kind of show.
Right.
Yeah, it's been there for a while.
It has. That's definitely that's a bucket list one for me, for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, that would definitely be, I think, a highlight of a lot of people's, a bucket list item for a lot of musicians, I think, to be on SNL.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So, you've been in the Josephines for how long now?
Lord have mercy. How long has it been? Get over here, Brad. Introducing.
Just napping on the couch.
Yeah, I've been playing it in the Josephines for, I guess 3 years now, almost 2.5 years, maybe 3 years.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's all good.
All right, much better. So, we've got a special treat for you guys. We actually are bringing in a second member of the Josephines, and Alex, I'll let you introduce Brad.
This is my best friend Bradley. He's the lead singer of the Josephines.
I like that you introduced me as a treat.
You are a treat.
Share that with my parents.
Yeah.
Will we get a different viewpoint if we talk to them? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Depends on what day it is.
I don't know. Yeah, most parents they may act frustrated with you, but I know I've been frustrated with all of our kids at some point or another, but I'd still probably call them a treat.
Yeah.
You're just biased towards your own kids, I think, for the most part.
Right.
Anyway, Brad, thanks for being here.
Yeah. You got a comfortable futon there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that actually, like I said, two of our sons actually stay up here when they're not at college, and one of them actually sleeps on that full time.
It's killer.
Yeah, that and our couch downstairs. It is. We call it the killer couch because we sit on it and like 10 minutes later you're just
out,
sitting straight up watching TV.
I'm gonna try it before we walk out of here. I'm sitting on your couch.
It does not take long. I promise.
That's awesome. Actually, I lived on a futon. Zach and I lived together, and just for the longest time, I just didn't want to go get my bed. I don't know, I don't know what it was, but the futon eventually just broke. And the joke was that I just lived in a wedge because it would just fold up on me, and I slept. I did that for over a year.
That give you nightmares, right?
It was awful. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It was terrible.
You wake up and
no idea
like
why
some giant monster's eating you.
Oh, it was terrible, and I'd just get up and just be so sad. It's like I live in a wedge. Well, that's where this conversation is.
Yeah,
went downhill quick when we brought Brad in.
Yeah, that's kind of how this goes.
Okay, so we know what your role is now, right?
Yeah,
wild card.
Yeah, wild card. I'm the disruptor for sure.
Fantastic. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about yourself. We've heard a little bit about Alex. So, yeah, are you from Bowling Green as well?
I am. Well, actually, I'm from Franklin,
Kentucky.
Okay,
yeah.
I
Right
grew
down
up
the road.
I grew up in Simpson County,
The great metropolis of Franklin, Kentucky.
Yeah. I moved up here when I was like 10.
Okay.
My dad was a girls basketball coach for a long time and principal at a few places, and just kind of a man about town. So when we came up to Franklin, my siblings had both already graduated from Franklin Simpson, and I got to start my world in Bowling Green at a good age. I mean, it's cool, man. Yeah, I've had a good time. I love couches, futons. Pretty much all I came here to talk about was your couch.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna have to keep an eye on my futon when you guys leave.
For sure. We're sneaky. That window's just
chuck it right out the window.
I was gonna say that window's just big enough. Fold it and toss it. Trust me. My brother-in-law, when I moved out one time, we actually did that.
Chuck it out the window. Yeah, it's a lot easier than trying to get it downstairs.
Hilarious.
Especially when you have to go around a corner like you do on these stairs. It's no fun.
Just throw it out the window.
Exactly. Yeah. Back the truck right up there.
Yeah. Right.
Throw you a mattress out first so it's cushioning it. And
just
there you go. Chuck it out.
Put your least favorite kid out front. Just catch it.
That's right.
Catch it.
Make sure it doesn't hit my truck.
Don't let it hit my truck. Don't let it touch the ground.
No scratches.
Yeah, it's a flag, boy. Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, I really don't even have anything to add to this conversation. Like, Alex just is so good at talking, and I just say nonsense. So I don't know. That's
a good balance, though. That's a good balance.
Is.
Some factual stuff, some nonsense.
Right.
You gotta keep it balanced.
I've never ridden with you.
That's true. That is true. But I will give you a card when you leave, and so it's actually got my cell number on there. So I have people that it's like have ridden with me a few times, and they really get to trust you because there are some sketchy drivers out there.
I mean,
there's it works both ways. There's sketchy passengers,
sure,
but there are some sketchy drivers too.
There's that whole thing. It's like just not knowing, which I think is so. When I think about it, it's like, taxi services. People were so okay with just being like, "Cool, I'll just get in." What the hell's the difference?
There is.
It's like,
I mean,
not a lot.
I mean, besides the fact that like
it's much cheaper,
and I feel like now that a lot of things, there's been a lot of reform with these companies where it's just like it gets safer and it's less expensive, more available, and like honestly, with us going to towns where there's like the necessity of almost like, you can wait an hour and get a taxi cab.
Right.
Or you can call somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm leaving the parking lot next to you. I'll see you in a minute."
Yeah.
And we'll save you $15. Like, it just, it sucks that people want to take advantage of that kind of system, but people are going to take advantage of anything.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, when I was growing up, in college, there was no Uber or no Lyft, and we would call a cab, and so many people got DUIs because you'd sit there and wait 45 minutes or an hour, and you call them, they're like, "Oh, he's going to be right there." And you're like, "That's what you told me 30 minutes ago." You're screw it, I'm driving home.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're busted.
I did.
Right.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, been there.
It was so frustrating.
Bunch of wild boys.
But yeah, I get people that they really trust me. Especially, I get a lot of college girls because they ride with me and like, man, we felt comfortable with you. You weren't perving out on us.
I mean, we came to your house.
Exactly.
Like we came to your house. Yeah, that,
So
obviously, and I never even met you, but you drove Alex and Sam, and I love your Instagram. I think it's so funny. Yeah, because I can tell which people are going to remember being like, you can just look at someone's eyes and you're just like, oh, there you go. I'm like,
it's funny.
They're like, take my picture.
And it started again. I was trying to connect with college kids, and you have these college girls, and you're taking them on a 5-minute ride, and they take like 50 pictures. And So finally, I'm like, okay, here's the rule: if you take a picture, then you've got to take a picture from Instagram. And
right.
Sure. Oh, they get all excited, and
of course,
And now they're like, oh my God, you don't understand. You're going to be famous. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, no. I've seen all my friends on your Instagram. We've been trying to get you forever. I don't know how you try to get me unless they're sitting there like canceling on people. Just cancel.
That's not Larry. I'm not right.
I'm not getting there. Who's this? Barry?
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually had the funniest time. I had a group of 4 people, and I pulled up, and they get in. They're like, they're so excited. They're like, we're way too excited. You don't understand. They're like, we were here, and we were actually gonna DM you on Instagram, and then we were like, no, we're not going to bother him. And so we just called a Lyft, and it was you, and we got you.
That's awesome.
And they were like, it cracks me up so much.
I'm going to be that way as soon as I get you.
Well, like I said, I'll give you a card before you leave. It's got my cell number. And
I just kind of want to be happenstance.
If you know you're going to be, that's
the first time.
Yeah.
The first time's got to be special.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of just kind of happen.
Yeah.
I've already ridden with you, so
That's
now
right.
you can just expect just like about 3 a.m., you'll just get that, oh, damn it, it's Alex.
Yeah. It was like, Larold, come get me.
Right now, I'm in a bad
Come
shape.
here. Come here, Larry. Hey, man, that's what you have to look forward to when you become our friend.
Hey, not a problem, man.
Just
not
awful, incoherent text messages. That,
Well, that's kind of how it is in my life now. I get those all the time already. Just incoherent text messages wanting me to come pick them up. So,
do you have a theme song?
Yeah,
Can we write you a jingle?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be so
we should have
sweet.
thought about this before we got here. And like come in and be like,
hey,
Larry, we got
if
something.
you do it, we'll have you back.
Oh, what do you mean?
We'll have you back.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're gonna
be awesome.
You realize the whole car ride home, we're gonna be like,
and then like so
Larry.
like right at the beginning of the podcast, you got the whole jingle to kick it off.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a little thing that I just picked off of a website somewhere, but it's certainly not anything that was written specifically for the podcast. That would be
hilarious.
Yes, it would.
I'm not saying it'd be good.
And I do play saxophone.
Hey, my son plays a little saxophone.
Okay,
he's
right.
like the. I don't like all 7 of the kids that, like I said, I'm one of 7 kids. We're none of us can play anything or sing or anything like that. So we kind of had like marry into it. Like my oldest sister married a guy. He's been in bands since like he was probably like 8 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he's usually been in like 1 or 2 bands at a time. So we had to kind of marry into it. And I don't know where my son got it. I have no idea.
I mean, that's where I was kind of going. My mom can pick up tunes. Like she doesn't play piano like at all anymore. But as a kid, we had one, and she could like, just by ear sit down and do something.
Yeah.
And my grandfather on my dad's side was in a barbershop quartet, and that is it as far as anybody knows of like anything musical. Which like, I play 6 chords maybe on an acoustic guitar, and I sound like this naturally.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm like, going out of my way. Like, no one's ever going to be like, oh my God, did you hear that guy play that acoustic guitar? Like, oh man, he has the prettiest voice. Like, none of that's ever going to happen. Yeah. So I wouldn't even really say that I write a lot of our music.
Yeah.
Lyrics, but I mean, just because I know how to read, man. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. Not a whole
the
lot
literacy rate in the Josephine is kind of interesting. I'm just kidding.
Are you though?
We can all read and
So
write.
are you bringing up the curve? Or are you bringing down the curve? Which way is it going here?
I don't know, man. We keep it pretty level. There's not much of a curve. It's kind of just flat line.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. Our tour manager's he speaks very eloquently.
He does. Brad, right, I miss you.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, come back. He's just at home. He's like, oh, boys down there talking to somebody.
Yeah.
We're a ridiculous group of people.
That is true.
It sounds like y'all have a lot of fun though, and that's
can't
cool,
help it.
man.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's nothing better than seeing a bunch of friends sitting around and just talking and having a good time. They've got all the inside jokes that they just say a couple words and nobody else knows what they're talking about. But it's just the most the funniest thing in the world to them.
Right.
We're
awesome.
pretty inclusive though. Like our jokes, we don't have a ton of inside jokes, and when we because we just go around people and just say stuff, and also, you're talking about just like being around a group of people like that, but people pay to go watch us on stage, and and this doesn't stop.
Yeah, the banter is pretty continuous.
Non-stop.
We get up
even
there
on
and it's
stage,
just-
we're just
It's
Back and
ridiculous,
forth, huh?
actually.
yeah.
It's really,
But it is a lot of fun.
it's
I think.
funny.
Yeah.
People have told us. I mean, it's like, there was a point last year on tour where I was even wondering if people liked our music anymore, because people were like, "You're just so much fun. You're so much fun to watch." And it's like, do you even care what we're playing? Like, you just want to hang out. Like, we can hang out, tour the country, and hang out with people.
Just put out an album of just you guys talking and back and forth, man.
Yeah, just when that if that's how we won a Grammy or something, I would be so
Depressed?
Yeah, just ashamed. Just like, oh my god.
Yeah, those dudes are pretty terrible at playing music, but they're kind of funny.
Best banner album.
Best banter. Yeah. Did you say band? No one said that.
Yeah.
We said banter. Oh.
All right, so I expect when I come to see you live, I expect to see a futon on stage. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I'll have a hospital bed.
Yeah.
Bradley will have a futon.
We've got some funny ideas for, we talk about Alex being able to set up his lap steel on a Segway. So that at big
just roll
festivals,
around.
he can
Just around the stage.
He can just roll up to us, go wireless. But I mean, honestly, if that ever happened, the show would just be over because I couldn't do anything.
I would never do that.
I never say never. If he rolled up next to me, I would be
I'd
be in shambles. Yeah, I would just
lose it.
Yeah, how can I do anything? Just having him give me the eye, you good? Just back up real quick. I would just be like, I'm done. Show's over.
Looking over.
Yeah, show's over. I gotta go. I'm gonna
Give you a
piss my
thumbs
pants
up.
on stage. Yeah, again. This time from laughter.
Oh, man. Oh, that would be hilarious.
The hospital bed is really funny.
I think that's the best idea. I'll just lay down in a hospital bed. They can hook me up to everything as well. Also, I
have the little control, halfway through the song. You start raising.
Yeah, I want to be able to control my bed,
Yeah.
but my steel guitar will just sit right across perfectly, and I'll just be able to sit there and we'll rig up a mic like a feeding tube, so I can just kind of
Yeah.
It'll be great.
We'll have a little
be just-
control that turns on the TV in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a TV hanging up in front of you.
Another button for the waitress to bring whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing is that so these jokes are kind of funny, but then we take them to this point where we start
This
acting
could
as if
become
it's
a reality.
Yeah, it's super hyper real. We're like, ooh, well, the joke could be that we just don't say anything. It's yeah. We just put him in a hospital bed.
Never acknowledge it.
Yeah, and just have nurses come out and not
Hey, what's wrong with your steel player?
Yeah,
Put
not
something in his IV,
yeah,
right there.
but not like
Never say anything.
The joking, not like a hot nurse costume, actually real nurses in scrubs who are concerned about his health.
And everybody in the band's whispering, or everybody in the audience is whispering, what's going on?
Oh, and we have to go check on him every now and then. We just go by his bed and grab his hand, and, put one knee on the ground, and Alex just acts like he's fading. We might have to get you really sick.
I've been thinking about that too.
Dude,
Apparently, there's a lot of
you're
stuff.
so
going on,
Hey,
right?
just fly over to Asia for a few days.
yeah.
Be good to go.
Pick up a
boy.
6-pack. Come on back.
I am genuinely frightened.
I'm not, man.
You're not?
About the coronavirus? Nah.
I'm a little worried.
It only kills people who are already real sick, from what
Really?
I understand.
Yeah, see, I
it's
just don't know
literally the
enough.
equivalent of getting a cold.
Oop.
Yeah,
I haven't been feeling very good lately.
I could be misinformed.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, It kills you.
You know, this whole thing is just a crapshoot anyway.
Well, they also
so.
said, it's true. They also said that even with the vaccine being made, that it could take anywhere from a year to 18 months to where it's public. Big Pharma is just totally messed up anyways. I mean, everything that goes on there is wrong.
Yeah.
So
in many ways,
and we don't get political, but that's not really political. That's just the truth. They are just a bunch of jackasses. So, Big Pharma, if you're listening, don't you go giving us medicine. Don't try and sponsor us, okay?
Yeah, there went my sponsorship for this.
From Big Pharma.
Big Pharma come to the podcast. There's such a tie in between that and rideshare.
Yeah, Larry, we got this hell of a proposition for you. Yeah,
We've been wanting you to push this new ADHD medication.
Yeah, we hear some of these guys you've been interviewing are real sick. We heard these sick interviews. God, dude,
they have no idea. No idea.
Jesus. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
I kind of snuck in though.
Yeah, I like it.
So tell us, guys. So I know y'all been busy lately. If my information is correct, y'all been in studio. Is that correct?
That is correct. We just finished up. Well, it's not completely done yet, but we have finished recording our new album.
Yeah,
awesome.
Which we have not picked a release date for, but it will be out this summer at some point, and then you'll be seeing a lot of us in a town near you.
Looking forward to it. Like I said, I can't wait to see you guys perform live for the first time. That's gonna be cool.
It's hopefully, we might suck.
Yeah.
You could get there and it could just be terrible.
Hey, as long as he's on a hospital bed, I don't care what y'all say.
Oh boy,
we'll save that for Halloween or something at least.
Yeah. We all dress like nurses and just tend to Alex.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, if you could do it without ever acknowledging anything to the audience, like whatsoever, that would be just such a classic stuff.
The icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, are we having a cake?
It's a hospital cake,
Dude,
though.
Larry.
It's from the hospital cafeteria.
To get well, Alex cake.
Some balloons and a banner. Take up collections, just totally.
Pass that.
Oh my god,
Pass that.
dude, Larry, you should from now on at the end of the interview just bring out a cake and have people eat it on like while
they're trying to talk,
just like a really bad cake, like something gross, because they're not gonna.
That'll be the new
where
end of the interview, end of the podcast routine.
We have this cake.
Yeah, we
it's just like there's no sugar in it; it's all salt. You just take a bite.
It's gluten.
Oh god,
gluten free, salt free, taste free.
Yeah. But here's the thing, is then you find out who's been honest with you the whole time, because if you know it's bad. And you just like you don't eat it. Just like, this is just for you. Have a piece right now and take it home. Cake. If they're like, Larry, this is delicious. You're like, well, I can throw that interview out.
Delete.
Liar.
They lie.
You liar.
Yeah, I know I put salt in there instead of sugar.
I can believe nothing you told me.
That's dirt. That's not even chocolate. It's just, man, that'd be funny. That'd be really funny. Just get a cake. If you came out with a cake, if you were like, well, funny you mentioned it, and brought a cake out right now, no matter how good it tasted, I would tell you it was awful. Just so you didn't think I was a liar.
Actually, here comes my wife.
Caking with Larry. It's a whole new business.
It's a
whole new podcast.
Yes. Caking with Larry. And there's like those new, like, what is it, olfactory? Like the sensory stuff. Like people make these stupid videos now where it's like they just like eat something really close, like really high def sound.
So you can hear it and everything.
Yeah, stupid. You could do that, but it's a bad idea.
There's some weird stuff out there.
Yeah,
there is certainly. Just go on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, even podcast wise, I met some people at a podcast conference in Orlando last year. Just you're like, how did that idea ever catch on? Like this one guy, I mean, he has a cool name. It's called Sleep With Me, and his whole podcast is he's got a voice that just puts you to sleep. And his podcast, you tune in if you're having trouble going to sleep and listen to him.
And he'll lull you to sleep.
That's a new thing, though.
I've heard about that in other, like I know Nick Offerman's doing something like that.
He could put me to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
And another podcast, a guy, he goes hiking, and that's the whole podcast. He doesn't talk. He doesn't narrate anything. It's the sounds of him hiking.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of really
It
cool.
would just be me breathing really heavy.
Exactly. It wouldn't take long unless I'm going down.
Yeah, you hear like a lighter flick every now and then. Like, it would just
be wheezing over there.
Yeah, just like a nap. You hear me snoring. You could really just attach a microphone to like somebody that's active, and just send them on their way, and you wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, just upload it every week.
Yeah, just like, good job, Charles.
Yeah,
Can I
thanks,
see your
buddy.
backpack?
Just like the NFL is like, who do we have mic this week? Who?
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
dude, I just can't believe they do that. Like,
What's
I
that?
would never ever allow somebody to put a microphone on me while we're on stage, which is funny because that's all we do is
because that's the reason the mic's
Right.
over here. So when you have to say something,
Right.
yeah, we do that.
it's not.
No, we do it all the time. We like walk over to each other and like just say
When
stuff.
you're over tending to Alex in the hospital bed, you can say all the
Yeah.
stuff that you can't say into the microphone.
I would never want.
Damn it,
anybody-
Alex, take your feeding tube.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Alex, take that out. I would never want anybody to know what I'm saying because it's not like we're saying bad stuff. It's just weird. Like it's
Yeah.
always weird.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we don't say it in the mic for a reason.
Sure.
Yeah,
And these quarterbacks, like first time somebody hit me, I would be just like, oh, just like kind of wheezing and like dropping f bombs.
Oh yeah, questioning his lineage and his mother.
yeah.
boy. Like I never understood that.
Yeah, I'm sure
They edit a lot. You only hear about 3 seconds of what everybody says.
Yeah, they don't play a whole lot. I'm sure they just have to pick a few things that are actually able to.
I would like to be the guy who edits it.
That would be that would definitely be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I would just keep it all for myself.
Yeah. Somebody's got it somewhere. It's out there somewhere. It's
some
they don't-
guy.
they
Somebody's
don't
gonna
erase that
WikiLeaks
stuff.
that ish one day, and it's just gonna all come out.
Yeah.
Blackmail. Some NFL players are going to be blackmailed for $200 million.
Yeah,
for
I
all
don't
stuff
think-
that they delete.
Yeah, just like really awful stuff they say to other people, or like really kind things.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
great job, sport.
Dude, you're doing such a good job. I'm really sorry I had to tackle you. It's
I
like,
can
"Oh,
see it
don't
when
put that
somebody's
up."
contract's being renewed. They'll be like, "Do you want us to release what you said about your coach 2 years ago?
Oh, dang!
How much does it worth to you?"
Is that what happened? Is that what's happening to Tom Brady?
Could be. You never
As of
know.
today, they say he's not going back to the Patriots.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
yeah. I was gonna say,
If I'm going to be totally honest, I don't care one way or the other. But
Yeah, not going to be a lot of tears spilled over that. I don't.
yeah,
think.
I don't.
People just got tired of them winning.
they really did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad this ain't a sports podcast because you called the wrong guy.
Yeah, no. This
is-
is about
guys.
as deep as we get into sports on this podcast. Generally,
Yeah, well, that seems about right.
yeah, pretty good. I played a lot of sports growing up, but
I played them growing
Don't
up
watch.
too. But
Yeah.
not so much. Once I got up into high school age and beyond, just
Yeah.
didn't have time for it. And now I'm too busy to really watch or listen to anything between doing my day job and doing rideshare and doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it's,
So cool.
What is your
all
day
these
job?
kids? My day job, I work for the city of Bowling Green. I'm a computer systems engineer for the city of Bowling Green.
Okay,
been
gotcha.
there a little over 22 years now. So
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I guess I'll stay. I still have things in my office I haven't hung up. I'm like, I'm just not sure if I'm going to stay.
Yeah, 22
like 3 years away from
Yeah,
retirement.
right.
I finally hung up a picture the other day that I've had.
No, just don't know. Just don't know if I'm going to make it.
Don't want to make that final commitment. Just don't want to commit
Yeah,
to it.
I feel
so.
that. I feel that.
So yeah,
That'd be
but
really
it's-
dumb if he quit. You seem like a really smart guy. So
I've actually got like less than 3 years now when I can
awesome.
retire. So
it's cool.
yeah, looking forward to doing more rideshare and maybe a more full-time podcast.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
We'll
you
come
got going
back.
here, man.
There's I think of ideas all the time that come in. Like, I don't know that anybody's doing it. I haven't found it if they had, but like, I mean, we'll talk about too how rich the music scene and the history in Bowling Green is of music. Somebody should cover that.
Yeah.
And
Do it right now.
you know,
There's, I
Do
actually,
it.
I'm familiar with some folks that are working on that.
Really?
I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's a pretty extensive thing going far back into,
Wait, I heard about this.
that's
they-
awesome because somebody, I've thought of that before, and I don't know enough about. I don't think I would do it justice if I tried to do it. But I was like, I'm trying to think of people who could do it. But that's wonderful if somebody's going to do that
'Cause,
it needs to be.
It
covered.
was one of the days we were down at the studio. They came to interview Mark because
Yes.
Mark Owens,
It's through Western.
He worked. It is through the university.
Cool,
but
very cool.
Mark Owens worked as an engineer on our album, and he's been playing in bands in Bowling Green forever, and he had a studio, High Street Studios, forever too. So like they came to interview him one day while we were out there recording. So
That's awesome.
So it's in the works. So
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that. I listened to a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones.
Yes,
have you listened to that?
It's
Tyler Mahan Coe.
yes, it's David Allen Coe's
Right,
son.
his son. Yeah, his son. And he's
I've
doing
heard about
like
that.
from like 2000 on country music, and he's just he talks about he's going to do it for as long as he can and cover everything that he can possibly cover, and he does a really good job of it, and it's interesting to listen to that. But as I started listening to him, I'm like, man, somebody really should do that for Bowling Green, because a lot of people don't realize what a rich history Bowling Green has, and how many people have come out of Bowling Green.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
How much
honestly.
talent is around here.
Yeah. It's and yeah, like you said, the history, it dates back. Like I said, my dad's a singer. I mean, he's been playing in bands for since the mid '60s.
Oh yeah, same thing with my
Bowling
brother-in-law.
Green.
Yeah, like I said, he grew up playing in bands, and even though I can't play anything, I play football. That's what I play. Can't play any instruments or anything. I really enjoy music. Love live music. Have had the opportunity to see a few really good bands that I liked growing up. I got to see Leonard Skinner several times.
Oh,
Cool.
we're big Skinner fans.
I love
so,
Skinner.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else I got to see. Got to see ZZ Top and the Black Crows in Nashville.
Yeah, we actually opened for ZZ Top this past,
that's
was
cool.
it this past summer or the summer before?
2 summers ago.
Yeah.
In Virginia Beach, it was sick. It was like 10,000 people.
Yeah,
It's wild.
And what a cool sound they put on with just the three.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
mean,
crazy, man.
yeah, they're legendary. That's for sure.
Yeah. Used to go. I got to see, a bunch of people back when Charlie Daniels used to have the volunteer jam down at used to be Starwood Amphitheater down in Nashville. I hated when they closed Starwood.
I did too, man. And
so
I was
upset.
super young, but I for some reason I understood the gravity of it.
Yeah.
One of the first shows I saw was there, and it was the Black Crows. Funny enough.
Wow.
Yeah, Robert
From
Randolph and the
Syracuse.
family band opened up for him. Steel guitar man, but
That's awesome.
but yeah, when they closed that place, I was like 9, and I was just bummed.
Oh yeah.
Why'd they do this? My favorite venue.
Yeah,
9, just wearing all black.
I wasn't 9. I was older than that, but yeah,
Maybe not.
I was. What year did it close?
I don't,
Oh, gosh,
I don't know. I
don't
mean,
know. I'd have
I
to
was
look it
young.
up.
And what, they turned it into a big old parking
Well,
lot?
they
or
were
something?
they were they were talking about they were going to build a neighbor a
Vanderbilt.
big neighborhood, and then that kind of fell through. And I don't know I don't know if anything ever happened to it.
Really?
It's been such a long time since I've kind of gone to that area, but I want to go by and drive by sometime and see if they've done anything with it. Because
Yeah.
I know there was always rumors. They would go back and forth every couple of years. Oh, they're gonna open it back up.
They
They did
should.
something. There is
Yeah.
something there.
I think there is, because
Yeah.
I think
Look at
somebody
us.
would have opened it up again.
Not knowing anything.
So yeah, I mean, just going to listen to live music. Used to go to listen to my brother-in-law play a lot. He used to play at Ramadi and Red Carpet and different
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
around here.
What's your
and
brother-in-law's name?
His name's Philip Montgomery.
Okay.
He actually lives. Him and my sister live in Franklin. Been down in Franklin
Okay.
for a while now.
Gotcha.
He teaches guitar here. I think he used to teach at the Guitar Academy. I'm not sure if he's still back there or not.
Okay.
But he's around 65 or so now. But
Gotcha.
like I said, he played in a lot of bands. I know he used to play with a couple of the Kentucky Headhunter guys before they were in that.
Right on. That's awesome.
And he was funny. He was one of those guys. He can sit down and listen to a song for about 10 minutes, and within a little bit he can play it. He
Start picking
didn't
it
learn
up.
to read music till about 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Just got an ear for it.
Yeah, he wanted to do it, and just kind of put his mind to it, and finally decided to learn how to read music.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been in and out of bands, gosh, I think since he was about 10 or so, 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Picked it up. It seems like a lot of people do kind of pick it up kind of early, get the bug kind of early, and
Yeah.
gets in your blood.
Yeah, and then that's all you got after that.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned the Headhunters. We'd been on tour pretty much all last year with a band called Blackstone Cherry.
Yeah.
And their drummer's dad is Richard Young, who's the guitar
Right.
player for the Headhunters.
Sure.
So it's
All
crazy
tied
how
in.
it all ties back together. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you look deep enough, you can find, connections, I'm sure, with just a lot of bands, whether it be people they've played with before in different bands, or a brother or a son or something like that, a relative.
Absolutely.
Things like that. I know just different bands I've listened to throughout. And then you start reading up on them and kind of learning more about their background and who they are. And that's one of the things I like about with the Cocaine and Rhinestones. He starts talking about all these connections between these different people. Oh, this guy's from this band, yeah. But you know him from this band, but he actually wrote all these songs for this guy, or this other band. You're like, I would have had no idea that he had a hand in that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's all so connected, man.
It really is. It really is. So wow, that's great. You got a new album coming out. Is this your second album?
This will actually be our first full length album.
Okay.
There's a body of work out already. It's an EP. It's just 6 songs.
Sober Up. Is that
Sober Up, correct. And I didn't play on that. That was before I was in the band.
David, our drummer.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, he wasn't on that either.
But we've been touring on that for a hot minute, so it's time for some new tunes, man.
Yeah, definitely. So that's coming out this summer. Looking forward to that. And y'all you said you're going to be a lot of places, so you got a tour kind of shaping up?
Yeah. They're all the details are still being ironed out, but we announced Hometown Rising in September up in Louisville. Blake Shelton, Carrie Underwood,
Clint Black.
Yeah, I saw the ad for that. That's going to be big.
So that's a good one for us. And we've announced we're doing the Machine Shop up in Flint, Michigan with Blackstone Cherry again, which is just a super cool venue up there that we love. We love the whole team there. And we've got a few other that we've announced, but it's definitely shaping up to be quite the second half of the year tour. So,
yeah. I think the first half, is it's kind of strategic, just because we played 210 shows or something like that last year.
Oh wow, that's a lot of shows.
240 days on the road. So
that's
we just
brutal.
worked home, and then everybody. Obviously, we wanted to put out music as much as anybody else wanted to hear it, but when do you have time?
Yeah, last year there was no time to.
So there's only so many hours in a day.
So at the beginning of this year, it was like, we have to do it, and our friends from Blackstone Cherry, John Lahan and Chris Robertson. John owns a studio down there. Mark Owens is the engineer. Chris mixed it for us, but also did some. He
did some production work as well. Yeah.
So we went down there, or over there, up there. I don't know.
We started right before Christmas and then spent pretty much all of January up there, just getting the thing done. But we're super proud of it, man. It's I mean, I can say personally, I'm extremely proud of it. I can't wait to get it out. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into it. You know what I mean? Not actually making it, but getting to where we could make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Making it was that was easy.
Right.
Like we walked in, we're so road tested at this point. It's like let's just go in and do the same thing we did, and it was. But we also work really good together as a team. Josh and Josh London and Zach and Alex, myself, Dave. It's just we're going down. We have rehearsal tomorrow, and it's just easy. We just go, not playing music. That's not what I mean, but
it's easy.
It's super easy. Just try it. It's horrible.
I don't know why everybody's not doing it. Right?
Yeah. It's a really weird life to choose for sure.
Yeah,
and this is my first band.
Quite alternative.
This is the first band I've ever been in.
Yeah.
So
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, man. I was just holding out.
Waiting for that right one to show up.
Whatever.
They're not good enough.
So now we're just it's just we've put a lot into it. It's really funny if you look at the pictures of us from 2018, just us, just about to hit the road, and then you look at the pictures of us from last month. We look we have aged pretty hard, man. We've done when this is your whole life, it's hard to focus on.
It's like looking at those pictures of people when they come into the presidency and then when they leave.
Right. I mean, honestly,
we don't sleep.
The road is not easy on.
No, we don't sleep. You don't eat well. You don't. You're just.
And that's one of those things that I think a lot of younger kids. They have two big misconceptions, I think, and one is that the life of rock and roll band person or band person is just all this glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
And
There's some of it.
There is some, I'm sure. Yeah. There's some of it being
sometimes.
on stage. I think if that's what you love to do and you love to create and you love that, that live feedback from a crowd.
Yeah.
And I don't do anything like that in front of a crowd. So I don't get that.
I love it.
But I can imagine that's just got to be a really big high for you.
It's as close to magic as anything I've ever experienced.
And you want to know something even crazier? And we had to talk about this because there were a lot of shows that we just like didn't remember. It was like by the end of the show, we were just it's like, oh my God, we're done.
It's almost like amnesia or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
apparently it's like an actual thing, like a performance blackout. So
I can believe it.
athletes, musicians, a bunch of people do it at this level where like you get up there and I don't really get stage fright.
I don't either.
It's kind of like, what's the worst that can happen? Like if we suck, like no one's gonna kill us. Hopefully, like it's just like we're not gonna be punished.
Yeah.
Except for we
They
just
might come up and unplug your IV or something.
yeah, like
God forbid.
nothing. I try my best to like convey that message to anybody who's doing anything. Like, think about the worst thing that could happen if you don't do an awesome job. Like, go up there and do your best because ultimately, I just don't know what could happen. But we just wouldn't remember playing and we'd be like, what? Like,
yeah, I know I didn't drink that much.
yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then we get,
But it's a real thing. Yeah.
and it wasn't until about 6 months after, 6 months into last year where Alex like brought it up to me and I was like, dude, same. Like, I just never thought about it.
I called him one day and I was like, man, I've been thinking, and we had just gotten home from maybe like a 3 or 4 week run, and I was like, I can't remember being on stage a single night of that tour.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it wasn't just from being, torn up or whatever, but it's like, yeah, you just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get in, you're kind of getting your groove.
You kind of
know
check
what you're
out
doing.
for a
yeah.
second,
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that probably helped us. Just like that's another thing too. Just mental health is as much. I think it's probably more important than your physical health most of the time. And having open conversations like that,
Yeah.
where now I think we're actually better,
Yeah.
because you can think
Right.
about it and be like, okay, think about where you are,
Yeah.
and consciously try and fight that. And I think that's important. And we, as a band, and I'll say this, I know that I came into this as Alex's partner for today, but if there's something, and I think you'll agree, if there's something that somebody wants to get out of this, being open and honest with your friends and your family or whoever about like just any kind of mental lag or just anything, like, because that simple little thing that we talked about that maybe doesn't seem, it's just like, oh, that's kind of funny, but it's like, it is funny. But once you can work past it, and the first part of that is just acknowledging it. And once you get past that, like we were able to put ourselves on a different trajectory.
Sure.
And imagine, with depression and all that stuff, if you're just able to talk about it,
Right.
put it out in the open with people that care about you,
Right.
not always the people you care about, but people that care about you,
Yeah.
and get that feedback and take it and work. You can do any. I mean, you really can do anything. Like that
Right.
sounds so cliche, but
But it's true. I mean, it's cliche for a reason.
Yeah,
because
and
it's true.
It is very true, man.
and we have to fight. We have to fight that stuff as much as anybody. And we're so fortunate to have a team with like Brad Wright, Sam, with Josh, Zach, Dave, Alex, myself, where we're very aware of each other's emotions. So.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell if something's not
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and you get tired out there. It's just like you're just done, man.
Right.
7 straight days out of 7 straight days of shows. Then you jump on an airplane, you got to fly somewhere, and then go back and play another show. It's like I'm tired and lonely.
Yeah, all I want to do is like just get cuddled.
Yeah, I just want to lay in bed. I want to lay in bed.
You want to find a
Somebody spoon
futon,
me.
don't you?
Just lay in bed and eat spaghetti and watch Parks and Rec and just cry a little. Like, but it's but that's stuff that happens to everybody. Yeah. It's not just us. It's a very all jobs are the same. You go and some of them are a little more entertaining. Like this is a lot more fun than sitting behind a desk for us. But some people would never dream of wanting to do what we're doing.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you brought up the whole mental health thing, because I actually recorded a podcast up right here Tuesday night. The whole podcast was about mental health.
Yeah, it's
Really?
important.
And I record a podcast with another guy named Antonio. I just kind of co-host with him. It's his podcast, but he had a friend of his on there, and the whole show was about mental health because the guest that he had, his friend, his dad was bipolar, and he was what's called rapid cycle bipolar. Like my dad was bipolar as well, but he was not the rapid cycle. You know, it'd be a few weeks, but this guy, his within like a matter of an hour or so, his dad would go.
Hot
He's
and
like,
cold.
you could tell him something, and 30 minutes later come in and tell him the exact same thing in the exact same tone, and he would have a 180-degree reaction to that same thing, which is a nightmare. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
But mental health, we talked about there, and I'll mention it again here. If anybody is dealing with a mental health problem and they feel like there's nobody out there, reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
There are people around you that there's helplines you can call.
Totally.
You can contact me. Get on my Instagram.
Yeah. Same.
You know,
Yeah.
liftingwithlarry.com.
The end of our post, we usually put something up that just says like, you know, don't forget, like you're not alone, man.
Exactly.
Like
You're not.
just holler at us.
Yeah,
Like we're all in this together.
You know, we have a couple of our kids that have dealt with depression, and you know, family members that have dealt with self-harm and things like that, and so mental health is
It's a big thing.
It
man.
is huge,
and it's so easy to like you know say that you're not alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's different for the people hearing it. But you know, like I've been in a lot of I don't know. We can all say that we've been in situations like that, and it's.
I was there this week.
Yeah,
Like I had to call Alex Monday and just be like, I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't feel good. And,
Yeah.
you know, and he was like, yeah, I'll pick you up.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't do anything. We just like, you know, it's just being around and
just having somebody to talk to for a minute. You know
For
what I mean?
sure,
It's,
man.
it's
Yeah.
something that we all feel pretty strongly about, and you know, it's something I care about a lot.
and
you know?
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And we talked about it the other night as well. It's starting to get to the point where it doesn't have as much of a stigma, but for a lot of people it still is.
It
It
still-
still has
you're
a
right.
huge stigma. Whereas if you talk to somebody and they're like, "Oh, this person has cancer," you don't think nothing.
pussy.
Nothing goes up. Exactly,
Yeah,
nothing
right,
goes
yeah.
up in your mind.
Right,
And
yeah.
You don't just like, okay, man, just suck it up. You know?
Right.
So you got cancer,
Yeah.
suck it up. you
Right.
know?
That's not.
You
a
understand? It's a physical. Symptom, it's a physical ailment that they have, and that's no different than a mental illness.
Yeah.
It's not something that somebody chooses to have. It's not something they can just will themselves to get over it.
Thing. Right. That no control
you know,
there.
Exactly.
I will never forget this. I got arrested one time in Bowling Green, and I hope this guy hears this because this guy worked at the jail and asked if I was on any medications, and I told him I was on antidepressants, and he looked at me and started laughing. He was supposed to be the nurse for the Warren County Detention Center, and he laughed at me and goes, "Of course you are." He goes, "What are you, 26?" He goes, "White, 26." He goes, "Of course you're depressed," and laughed and walked out. And I threw a fit. They kept me in there longer. I was pissed.
I bet
was
you
in
were.
there. I was in there just for an AI. Like it was like nothing. Like I walked out of a bar and I was just too drunk, I guess. Instead of letting me go home, they just arrest me. Well, then I get in there and this like the guy who's supposed to help you,
Right.
And the cops were so cool. Like everybody was being normal. Like
Right.
it may have been my DUI. I don't even remember, but I will never forget that guy. And I remember his face. And if you're listening to this, I remember you. And as soon as I see you outside that jail, I will not forget. I told him the same thing that night. But what an asshole.
Yeah, that's low.
Like,
That's pretty low.
That is.
I
Yeah,
didn't even have to
that's-
say anything. I just like the cops were like, "Whoa!" Like they were actually on my side. They were like, "Dude, don't." He's like, "I'm just sick of this." What are you sick of?
Yeah.
You think I was pumped to tell you that I'm in jail and now I'm like on this medication? Like
Yeah.
none of this is cool for me.
Right. Yeah.
Why are you?
What part of this do you see is good for me?
What do you think this is gonna help? Like this is ridiculous, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's
honestly, I hope I would never hope anybody's in a bad mental state, but obviously that guy's probably too stupid to ever feel bad. That arrogance is something that I
especially
will
from
never forget that.
Yeah, like I said, from a nurse. I mean that
Yeah.
just that blows my mind.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Warren County, if you look back on my records, you should fire that guy if he's still around. I filed a complaint. I did file a complaint, which no one gives a shit about when you're the guy who's in jail.
Yeah, right.
They're like, "Oh yeah, if somebody was mean to you." It's like that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm okay with being here. What I'm not okay with is the fact that maybe somebody who's actually in a really bad spot,
Right.
and I was in jail, and I was like, whatever.
Right.
Like, but there could have been somebody in there.
Oh, yeah.
and that could have changed
That
their
could have
life.
set them over the edge.
That could have put them,
Right.
and like then it's their fault,
Yeah.
and that person should be held responsible
Accountable,
for that.
yeah.
It's, the accountability is bizarre. I, didn't mean to go on a rant there, but,
No, you-
but
No,
F,
no
F
problem
that
at all.
guy,
No-
man. That
no
guy
problem.
sucks. Yeah, I wish I remembered his name. I would call him out by name right now. I don't care at all. That guy, what an idiot. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I do. I'd just be commenting on Larry, just like, don't blink that out. Here's his name.
Yeah.
Make a big post about it.
Oh, no. Not going to delete that out. Not going to delete that out. I think he would deserve to get called out
I
for
think,
that. So,
totally. Because no matter, I couldn't be the only person.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I'm
that's
sure
not the
he
first
had a-
time or the
what-
last time that's happened, I'm
Who is
sure.
he put me in like a category. It's like, oh, white 26. Like, what? That's what makes you depressed?
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
Dude,
like just because you're white
get
and
out of
26
here.
doesn't
Like, what
mean
do
you can
you
have no
mean?
problems going on in
yeah.
your life.
And my
Yeah.
life is like pretty sick, like for the most part. So like, that was just so ignorant, and what a guy. What a guy. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
I hope he's got a really good job.
Yeah. Sounds like.
Jesus. Yeah.
I take it he's not on the Christmas card list.
Yeah.
No.
To put it nicely.
Yeah, to put it nicely, I'm just done with it. No, he's
Yeah.
not. I can't wait to see him. I'm going to shake his hand.
All right. So I want to bring it back to, I was talking about two things that I said I can't think kids have misconceptions. And one is that life in a band is always glamorous.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are very many parts of it that are
Yeah,
glamorous.
sure.
Traveling, getting to see these venues, meeting a lot of people, having people, I'm sure, come up to you and tell you how
Yeah.
your music has touched their lives in really remarkable ways. That's got to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the 270 days traveling, living out of a suitcase, not, I'm sure you wake up and you're not sure what town you're in.
Sometimes.
Oh, all the time. What day is it?
Yeah.
Where
What?
are we?
It's
Yeah.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Why are we
I'm
playing
sure
on a Sunday? Where are we? Albuquerque?
And
When
and
did we
in
get
a, in a really not on the any way the certain level, like one of my sons for Christmas, he took my Instagram and brought it up on a regular computer, and I guess got as much as you could see on a web page and printed it out like this big and put my logo on it and stuff, and we framed it and they gave that to
Cool.
me for Christmas,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's what's funny. I can look back through there and there's like pictures I have. I'm like, if you showed me this person, I would swear I'd never had them as a passenger
Yeah. Yeah.
ever before.
Yeah.
And I've had people get in. They're like, "Oh, you again? We had you earlier." I'm like,
Yeah.
seriously, I had
Did
you
you?
earlier tonight.
Yeah.
Because I mean, part of it's just like you said, you kind of get into the routine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
part of it's too, when I'm picking up, I'll look at them as they're walking up. But once they're in the car, I'm not staring in the rearview mirror.
Right,
I'm
you
not turning
gotta-
around and
Yeah.
imprinting these people in my brain.
You've got a car to drive.
Exactly, I'm driving. It's really creepy if you're staring in the rearview
Yeah.
mirror at them all the time.
Yeah.
So you see them for a few seconds as they're walking up, and then you may be talking to them, but you're not looking at them.
Right. You wouldn't recognize them
Exactly. So
necessarily.
there are some people that I've seen, I've had in my picture, and I'm look back and I'm like,
Yeah.
I would swear to you, I've never
Yeah.
had that.
Yeah.
And that being
we
said-
run into some
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
That being said, anybody who, I hope people can understand. Like,
Yeah.
we meet a lot of people.
yeah,
You do
yeah,
the same thing. And
exactly.
when I get in Ubers and
Yeah.
lifts in other cities, I'm like, I bet you see so many people today.
Yeah.
So I don't even have that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, I just did the same thing. I
Yeah.
just shook 500 people's hands and signed stuff, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and
I'm
they're like, "Oh,
super glad I did it.
don't you remember me? I saw
Yeah, I'm
you
like-
2 years ago at this show."
Yo,
oh,
really
yeah,
though?
yeah,
Really though?
And it makes me
Sure.
feel bad because
Yeah.
I want to.
right.
Yeah, it's like I really wish I could, but I'm not. I don't have that mental
Yeah,
fortitude. I'm
usually
sorry.
I've been able
Brad
to
Wright does.
ask
Yeah.
them a question or two, and kind of it prompt me to remember what the ride was, like
Yeah.
when it was.
Our
I'll-
tour manager can.
Yeah, I'll kind of ask them when it was or anything. But another misconception I think that a lot of people have that I'm sure y'all know is not very true. Is the people will see these, whether it's a band or an athlete or movie star, a lot of different areas where all of a sudden they get very, very popular, famous, whatever
we're
it is.
rich.
And they think they think you're this overnight success.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't understand the years that you put in
Oh yeah.
working at this craft, at this skill, and they think, oh, you started a band, and next thing you know, you're out touring and making all this money and all this kind of stuff. And that's just, it's
just not true. Yeah,
that may happen occasionally, but for most people, that is not.
But it's like what's the saying? It's like, you work your whole life to become an overnight success.
Right. 2 years to become an overnight success.
Right. It's like, you even if the success happens overnight, it's like you don't gain that from you put in tons of work for that. I mean, we've been slaving away trying to make this thing happen for the last 2.5 years, 3 years.
And you've been doing it since you were a kid.
Right, You started playing, like you said, when you were, 10 years old. It's not something that you just picked up and, boom, we're going to go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a labor of love, but then you get hungry, and then you're like, I also love some food and money. Yeah. So,
man. And I would think that's, again, it's kind of one of those areas that you have to love it. You can't go in for it thinking I'm gonna get rich,
right?
Because if you don't have a love for it and it's not kind of in your blood, you eventually you're gonna probably just give up on it,
right?
You're gonna say it's not gonna happen, and I'm just I'm not gonna chase it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the people I've seen that it's really in their blood, and they like, I can't imagine doing anything else. And, I think I talked to the guy one time, and he's like, I would rather be broke doing this than to be wealthy sitting behind a desk somewhere.
Yeah, we are.
I was going to say, I live that.
Yeah, really. We are. And, people know who we are. And, there's a bit of success there, but there's so much more to be had. But, I don't know how else to explain to people. It's like, it takes a long time to start making money.
Yeah, you got to put in a lot on the front end. I mean, you really got to.
Right, and you got to be willing to do it knowing there's no guaranteed on the back end.
And now we're so far in, we can't quit. I would never want to, but you just what would we possibly do?
Yeah,
I would.
It's just not an option at this point. Yeah,
I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But it's also got to be very cool being able to do something that you love.
Totally. And to have all of our parents support every single person in this band. Their parents are
awesome.
Supportive.
That's really cool.
Which is rare in a lot of situations, and we're extremely grateful for that. And we're extremely grateful to be able to do this. We're not trying to complain about it.
There's no.
It is hard work, but we're the luckiest people in the world. We get to play music, which is something that we all love so much, and people sometimes come and watch us. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's we're really, really grateful and lucky.
Oh man. It's amazing. And we actually talk about that together, very often, where everybody's got something to complain about their job,
right?
But but ours is mostly just physical and mental health. It's just oh boy, you know what I mean? But but at the end of the day, we sacrifice that just to be able to do this because I just don't want to do anything else. And now it's bigger than us. It's bigger than what we want to do.
Right.
There's people out there that really have this dedication and this feeling that we've somehow managed to slip in to them. And if we quit now, we'd just be letting so many people down.
Right. Yeah. It'd be hard to walk away.
I don't want none of us would ever do that.
I think it's bigger than us. That's the best way you can put it.
Yeah,
it is bigger than us now.
A lot of people depend on us. We have agents and managers and lawyers and, those are the people that are in it with us just as hard, but all the fans, man, what would, that'd be upsetting.
Yeah, well, so when you're ready to hire, a driver,
Yeah.
Hey,
get your CDL.
There we go.
Yeah.
What's 2021 looking like?
Yeah, your wife would be pumped.
Yeah.
Babe, I started this podcast. I was fine with you going upstairs and talking to these people. But you cannot go drive a bus for them.
That's just 270 days a year, baby.
Get to go on some cruises.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that would fly.
Understandable.
Got a pretty good idea how it would fly. I've never met your wife, but I can go ahead and tell you.
Yeah, over a lead balloon moon, right?
Yeah, not good, man.
Yeah, you know where I'd be sleeping tonight, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey, look at this lovely futon.
Actually, even have it better. There's like if you go out in our garage, there's a little tiny room that's underneath the steps over here.
Okay, yeah, a little Harry Potter action down
say
there.
that.
I call it that's my Harry Potter room. When I'm
Yeah.
in the doghouse, that's where I go.
They just hit the floor with a broomstick to wake you up.
Get up, Larry.
It's time for school.
Exactly. But yeah,
Your
no,
owl's here.
I can't complain too much. And my wife's she's the sweetest lady in the world. I can't.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
She is definitely my better half.
Yeah. Well, y'all got a lovely home. We appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so
welcoming us
much.
into it.
I appreciate you guys coming and getting to learn, more of your background. Like I said, I really enjoyed talking to Alex, so I picked him up. We had a good conversation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again,
From what I remember.
Bowling Green's so small that I don't get to hear usually have a long conversation with a lot of people. So it's great to get to sit down with them when they're open to it and kind of hear their story. And definitely y'all's story is one that I'm going to keep an eye on, and super looking forward to coming to see you guys play live, whether it's in Louisville at the festival this year or wherever that's going to be. Love watching live music, and especially when you know the people, that even makes it better.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll so round 2, maybe next year, we're gonna have a jingle for you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Or if we just come up with one and get it done decent, we could probably do it.
I would like to. We'll track it. We'll have you come in because you gotta have your voice on it too. You know what I mean? Just somewhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something like we got you covered, man.
Yeah,
we're gonna
we
make it
got
happen.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna mark that down, and
problem.
I'll definitely be holding you to it. So
Yeah, let's do
problem.
it, man.
for sure. And one day I'll have you as a passenger
I would love
organically. Got to be organically,
It's gotta be,
and, then,
man.
and then after that, we'll have a card. And whenever y'all need a ride, y'all can give
Love
me a
it.
call, give me a text, and let me know y'all going to be out and about that night and need a ride.
That sounds good.
Like I said, have a lot of people that do
Call
that
you
now.
later.
They'll text me
See
and
you
like,
tonight,
hey, I'm
Larry.
going out tonight.
See you in like a couple hours, dude.
Yeah, that'll work. And then just like probably have to do it like when you're here, not in Michigan or somewhere like that.
Right? Yeah.
Although I do know a bunch of Uber drivers in Michigan, so I could probably hook you up there
There
too.
we go.
So.
Sounds good.
We're gonna get into this whole web of drivers here.
Like, all right, Larry, who do you know in Kalamazoo?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Who do you know in San Francisco?
Yeah.
I have to have my Rolodex of drivers out.
Yeah.
Who I can pull up.
You have one? You have a Rolodex? Larry, get out of here.
Yeah.
You can't have a podcast and a Rolodex.
That's true. That's true.
They
Just don't
can't
mash.
exist together.
Come on.
Well, I'm keeping the podcast, so
Yeah.
we'll know which one's getting tossed. So, man, again, it's so great to meet you guys.
Thank you.
So much.
Thanks,
like I
Larry.
said, I know it's been a busy time wrapping up this album, getting everything ready for your tour and all that. So I know it's hard to cut some time out, but thank y'all so much for coming over.
Man, thank you
Yeah.
for having us.
Thanks.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Appreciate
it.
you, sir.
All right, thanks so much.
Yep.
It's time for the interesting story of the week.
This episode's interesting story of the week happened to me 2 years ago on St. Patrick's Day. As you can imagine, St. Patrick's Day is a really busy day usually for rideshare drivers. You have a lot of people going out celebrating, a lot of people drinking, and a lot of people calling for rides. So you stay busy. You want to pick up people who are pretty close and just make as many rides as you can, and just keep making money. So it had kind of slowed down a little bit. There's a little bit of lull, and I was downtown on the square in Bowling Green, which is where most of the bars are located here in town. So that's usually where you want to be or close to it. And I got a call that was about, it was going to take me about 15 minutes out into a little community called Richardsville, Kentucky. And I debated on whether or not I was going to accept it or not. And the only reason I decided to accept it is I figured that, hey, they're probably coming into town, so it'll be a good, decent, long ride. So I head out toward the address and get out to the road where they live on, where it says they live on. And I'm driving down the road, and I'm looking for this particular address that it has on my screen. And there are no houses anywhere on this road that are even close to that number. Like, it just doesn't even go to that number. And I drive up and down a couple times just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And so then I call the passenger on the phone. And when he answers, you can tell he has definitely been celebrating. He is feeling good, feeling no pain. And he's like, hey, where you at? He's yelling. There's a bunch of people in the background. It sounds like he's right in the middle of a party in a big crowd. And I'm like, trying to figure out, where he could possibly be in Richardsville where all this is going on. And he's like, hey, are you about here? I'm like, I'm trying to find your address, but I can't find the house that has this address. It's like, no, man. He's like, we're right here. We're right here by next to the Great American Ballpark. And I started thinking, like, Great American Ballpark. I'm like, what city are you in? And he said, well, right here in Cincinnati, man. And I started laughing. And I'm like, well, I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky, so I'm going to guess that you're not going to wait, the 4 hours it would take me to drive up to Cincinnati to pick you guys up. And he's like, Kentucky? What the heck? What's going on? And we're trying to figure out how in the world, he ended up putting an address in that was in Kentucky, and still don't know for sure whether it was a glitch in the Uber app. But what I think it probably was is that he put in an address, and it'll start auto-filling. If you start typing in an address, it'll try to auto-fill the rest of it. And I've had that happen before where somebody put in like the Sigma Nu house. They were wanting to go to the Sigma Nu house here in Bowling Green, but instead they picked the Sigma Nu house in Aurora, Illinois, and it was going to be, like, I don't know, $500, $600, $700 trip. So anyway, yeah, I was pretty upset because then I didn't get the long ride back into town. It ended up taking probably, 35 or 40 minutes to get out there, get back, and go through all this mess. And all that time I'm missing out on making money during St. Patty's Day, which is a very busy time. So that's just, some of the things that we deal with as rideshare drivers. I know several other drivers who have had kind of similar stories where they go to pick somebody up and it turns out the person's in another city. So sometimes stuff happens. You just never know. Like I say, every night's an adventure. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, please take a few minutes to go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a rating or a review. The reviews are especially helpful because they boost us up in the search rankings and expose the show to more listeners. I want to thank my guests for this episode, Alex Lindsey and Brad Tabor of the band The Josephines. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you go to Spotify or Pandora, wherever you listen to music, and check out their stuff. They have some really great music. They've got a new album that'll be coming out, I think, later this summer. They've got a big tour lined up, so there'll be lots of places that you can see them live and in person. That's one thing me and my wife are really looking forward to, is going to see them play live. Thanks, as always, for taking the time to listen to the show. God bless, and be safe out there.
Thank you for listening to Lifting with Larry. To subscribe to the podcast, check out other episodes, and keep up to date, head to liftingwithlarry.com.